Hey everybody, welcome to Mogul Live this week. Really thrilled to have Jonny Pasvolsky joining us. Very, very experienced, accomplished actor. You would have seen him Westworld, Ascendant, Mortecai with Johnny Depp and Gwyneth Paltrow. So we're really excited to get Jonny into the chat as soon as possible. I can see that he's just joined us again. For all the new people in the chat, Katerina, Cami, Jarek, Cat Lover. Great to see we're nearly up to 400 people in the chat. 354, we're climbing. So any questions, a good question to ask Jonny. So let's get him into the chat. But again, welcome to this week's Mogul Live with a very, very accomplished and very experienced actor. We're excited to get him in here. Let's see how we go with technical. Let's see how we go with getting Jonny into the chat now. So I can see Jonny's in there. Jonny, if you can just request to join the chat. I think that might be the best way. Let me see. Here we go. Let's invite. Let's see if this works. Again, Jonny. Let's see. Hey, Jonny.
How you going?
Great to have you on the. Great to have you on Mogul Live. Great to have another Australian on Mogul Live. I think there's only been one other one. So it's fantastic to have you. How are you?
Good. Thanks, James. It's so good to chat with you, and I just wanted to say that I feel accomplished in tech now that I got on.
Well, that was a pretty smooth transaction as well.
Yeah.
I was.
It did take me like 15 minutes sitting in front of it, just preparing for it. But
that's cool. We're really glad that it all worked. Just again, because our audience, we're 398 people in the chat. Let's see if we can get to 400. Jonny, I just thought what I'd maybe start just again. Love the very basic question of just where it all began, like when you first got into acting.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I mean, I was very, very much the typical high school student doing the school musicals every year. And I actually came out of school and got onto the behind the camera part of filmmaking as a film editor, and then sort of returned to the idea of acting when a little later after I did that, and went to VCA, Victorian College of the Arts, in Melbourne, and that was pretty much it. That was the beginning of me doing it professionally. That's the start.
And can you talk us through the journey of, obviously, for anyone that's joining us, hey, Frederica 94, good to see you. The transition from going from Australia to Los Angeles, what was that like? And what was your first role once you got into the States?
I definitely had a few false starts. Multiple trips over, see what the landscape's all about. Filled with dreams, filled with passion, and work very hard. The very first time I kind of went over to LA, feeling like it was something I could do was they flew this I think it was Paramount Universal flew me over. It's a long time ago. So Universal flew me over because I got my first network test on this show, and I was completely spun out, to be honest. And I didn't really know what it was about. And that particular test was actually with a full crew on the set of another show that they'd cleared for this particular audition or test, and I didn't get that job, but it was definitely like a taste of the machine that Hollywood is, and the level and the sorry, somebody
That's
just
right.
called me. Sorry.
Popular man.
Yeah. So and then look, and then it became a when you get that carrot dangled. It really inspires you. So, it really, really pushed me along, and I had some close calls. And then the very first job was Mortecai, actually in America.
You hit America, and I'm just sort of like compacting all this stuff, but it's a pretty good first job to have. when you're billing alongside Johnny Depp, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ewan McGregor,
Yeah,
Olivia Munn, and
yeah.
yourself.
Paul
Oh,
Bettany.
Jeff Goldblum, and I mean
Yeah.
that's a pretty good way to kind of like land in Hollywood. What was that process like? Like, how did you find about out when you actually got the role?
Okay, so that process was, I'm pretty sure that came through my American managers and my Aussie agent as a combination. I was in Australia. It was about a self-tape. I read it. I laughed a lot. I read it again, put my self-tape down, and then didn't hear anything for about 3 weeks. Then my agent called and said David Koepp, the director, the great David Koepp, who's written some of the biggest.
Jurassic Park. Yeah, he's only written Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible.
Yeah, he's like one
Yeah,
of the highest grossing screenwriters in history.
yeah.
And a really lovely, lovely guy. And so my agent goes, David wants to call you, have a little chat. So we lined that up. I had a chat with him, and he was just amazing because he said, he opened up I didn't know I really didn't know how the process worked. And, you know, we're leading to a Lionsgate thing. So we had to kind of get through multiple rounds of producers and so on and studio people. But David was like, listen, you're the guy I want to do this role. Can you do this? Can you have a try this? Can you have a try that? Do this. A few things about just, you know, making some adjustments and shifts to how I'd sent the original tape. And then he said the greatest thing. He said, but don't just send me what you think is the best. Just send me everything you shoot, which is just unheard. It's really unheard of, to be honest. It gave me a lot of freedom. And hello, Jeffrey Lawson. And so I did that. I sent him 10 takes. And then it became, each week my manager in America would go, Johnny loves you. David really wants you to do it. Then the next week it was, okay, we've got to try get you past the studio folk and whatever. And then 5 weeks after I sent the 10 takes, I got an email on a Tuesday morning, and it said, "You are the choice."
I think people forget about that process, Johnny, because it's gut wrenching. Because, like you said, you can have the casting director love you, but then the director's got someone else, or the director and the casting love you, but then the person who's putting the money in and the producers have got someone else. And it comes down to little things too, doesn't it? You know, like your height, if you were the same manager as, say, the lead actor, little things that you can't control. Just that gut wrenching experience. I'm just going to quickly, there's the texts are coming through. Barb site, Johnny is the best. Johnny, you're hot. Jeffrey Lawson, great to see you, Jeffrey. Andrew, good to see you in the chat. Andrew, one of the heads at Mogul, always in these chats, Johnny. Andrew was last at the Reboot Camp premiere as well in Los Angeles. Awesome.
Yeah, David Lipper's film.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a small industry. Andrew's question, what do you think about NFTs in the future of filmmaking? I know we've briefly spoken about NFTs and that side of filmmaking. Johnny, any thoughts quickly on NFTs in filmmaking?
Okay, so I mean, I would safely say I'm an infant in comparison in terms of my knowledge of it. But what is interesting, and there's someone actually in the building where my office is, who is driving his own NFT operation, and he's every day knocking on my door saying, "This is a really interesting way to get your projects up to create awareness and something quite special." And I think it's so unique in the outside of the box thinking that we need, traditional financing models and all that stuff exist, yes, but it's just this wonderful thing where it sort of serves all parties, and in a smaller bite way, like everyone can get a smaller chunk. People who want to buy these NFTs, and so there's kind of like it feels like a broader involvement in the project.
It's
if you like,
funny,
and
like the way you sort of mentioned the guys knocking on your door every day. It's been a really good journey, especially with us at Mogul, because it's like originally, you know, people kind of look at you and say, what's NFT? You know, is that like a name of a rapper or something? And now it's kind of like, now
it
it's
probably
sort of
will
like,
be pretty soon.
yeah, it's like, how do we get involved though? That's been the big thing. So we're really excited where it goes. And also with a filmmaker, you know, again, you can raise extra funds for your film. That's the thing, especially independent or short films.
Yeah.
An NFT gives you an opportunity to either, you know, distribute it, you know, do an NFT on the poster, the characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's plenty of, continue on the journey. I'd just love to hear, what was your first interaction with Johnny Depp?
So that was so funny because I was shitting myself basically. I didn't really know, you know, I was kind of going on the plane over there. I was going, how do I, the list of these of actors is a lot of big names there and everything. How do I kind of sort of connect and enter into that experience? But the reality is that, you know, what I came up with was, okay, you got this job because you know what you're doing. You work really hard. You know your craft. Work through the craft and you know, be connected to your craft, and that's why they're there, because they're great at it. And so we were doing some test shoots in the studio in London at always forget these beautiful James Bond studios.
Pinewood Studios?
Pinewood. And there's big long tables of props for my character. That had 3 long tables, and the prop guys were sort of walking me through the props while Johnny was shooting some tests, and he walked off, and he was in full costume, and I was in a little bit of my costume, and he came up to the desk and he just went, "So you're wearing your armor?" And he, you know, shook my hand and everything. He was cool. And he was really like, so excited that you're here. And you know, it's going to be so much fun to play and all that stuff. But he referred to costume as his armor. And I kind of love that. You know, you go into battle, so to speak, or whatever. It defines you so much. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first interaction. Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously, like for any actors that are there, I can see Samos. He's always a regular on these chats. He's got a great question coming up. Thanks, Jeffrey Lawson, as well. Great advice. Just be yourself. Just sort of solidifying the rest of that filmmaking process. How did you find the other Olivia Munn, Ewan McGregor, Gwyneth Paltrow? I mean, did you sort of find that it was all about your craft and these people kept to themselves? Did you bond with them? Because you're one of the leads with them, so you would have spent a bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as you know, James, there's a lot of sitting around on set. Well, this is the thing. In the end, after all of my worry, you know, work through the craft and all that stuff, it was like, yes, I was doing my job, but they were, without exception, just lovely people and very open people. You know, we had the opportunity to improvise quite a lot during the shoot, and I mean, we laughed, had a good time. I mean, Olivia Munn was like my kind of, I guess, bestie for the duration of the shoot. She's just, you know, a brilliant and a warm person. We talked a lot about a lot of stuff. You know, I mean, gosh, it's hard to even say. Everyone was amazing. Like Paul Bettany's hilarious. It sounds ridiculous. I'm just name dropping, but you know, Ewan was like, not that everybody else wasn't down to earth, but Ewan was like I'd met an old mate. And you know, Gwyneth was beautiful. And when we finished, she invited us over to her house in LA when we moved, because we shot most of it in London, then another month in LA, and then after that, you know, Gwyneth was like, "Come over, let me welcome you to LA," and all that stuff. And that's, you know, I mean, people don't have to do that. It's
Not in
especially
Hollywood. Not in Hollywood.
no,
They don't always do that. Yeah.
no, and beyond that, the people who worked for Infinitum Nail, Johnny's company, they were all so supportive of me. They became my little LA family. They threw me another job that I flew to Arizona for, and look, it was a special experience for me.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Well, you deserve all the credit. I mean, anytime, again, I think that the real kind of way of looking at it is anytime you can get sandwiched between Johnny Depp and Gwyneth Paltrow and Ewan McGregor, Olivia Munn in the lead credits means, you've done well at your craft. You know what you're doing and you deserve that. So
Thanks, man.
anyone watching, go to see Johnny and Mortecai. I personally think you were great. You're absolutely great.
Thanks, mate.
So,
Thanks. Jeff Goldblum was gold, by the way. Just 10 days on set with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Well, greatest life experience.
If anyone wants to come back to talk about Mortecai, just in the chat, feel free to ask Johnny any question you like. I'm just going to quickly, because the questions are starting to pile up, Johnny, I'll quickly run through a couple. Samos has mentioned, this is back into the NFTs. What are professional organizations in the film industry? What are professional organizations in the film industry that should be part of the overall mogul or film financing NFT discussions? I think what Samos, correct me if I'm wrong, what do you think the organization should be? What should organizations should be embracing NFTs and looking at this side of financing?
Gosh, that's a multifaceted question, I think. I guess it's about what models are out there, and in Australia, as you would know, it's a government studio system essentially. How that would operate with a government-run system, I'm not really sure, but that's my lack of knowledge of it. I think in a slightly more diverse financing model like America, that is, where you could have everything from very small production companies to huge studios. I can't see what's not interesting to make it part of it. As an independent filmmaker, I mean, I think it's like a really solid connection to making something a reality, to bringing something to fruition. Because sometimes you're just throwing, things into the wind and wondering if there's any way you could possibly get anything for the film that you want to make. I mean, this is almost like this is only the first step, I imagine.
And I think a good way to look at it is you've got the studios at one end, and if they do a tentpole film, $300 million Aquaman 3, they can make extra revenue with, NFTs of the characters, for example, that will long live on. And then the other end, you've got an independent filmmaker out of film school that makes his short film. It gets into one festival and it doesn't really go anywhere after that weekend. You can still put that film poster, cut up, the short film into 12 scenes, make it an NFT. So I think both ends of the scale, like you were sort of saying, like, what's not sort of attractive about it, makes it really interesting. Just quickly throwing up a couple of other questions, Johnny, because they're piling up. Surf Kick. Sorry if I got that wrong. Please, Avengers or Harry Potter? Which one?
I have to say Harry Potter because of my kids.
Okay. Thanks so much. Samos has just come back to our NFT question, correct? Jeffrey Lawson, Johnny's a top guy. I love him. Thanks, Jeffrey. Just let's move from your career with Johnny Depp and Ewan McGregor and this tentpole film in Mortecai, or big budget film Mortecai, into Westworld TV show.
Yes. Can
you give us a quick sort of story behind how you got cast and that experience working on that particular TV show?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, and this is how a lot of this business works. John Papsadero, who cast me in Mortecai, offered me the Westworld role. So I didn't have to audition for that, which was, every one of us as actors love an offer. There's nothing better than that. The scenes that I had to do were quite violent, and they were with Thandiwe Newton, and they wanted someone that I started to get to know John quite well, and he knows I'm a gentle guy. They needed someone. It was very physical and very violent towards Thandiwe. In a few different natures, and they just wanted to know that someone who had physical experience, just in terms of, it was virtually like a stage combat experience. They wanted to know that I had to put my hands around her neck at one stage, and you want to have an experienced person who, when the camera rolls, as you know, James, and this was shot on 35mm, so when the camera rolls, your adrenaline rises, and it was about being in control and making it look like it was out of control. So, look, that's me patting myself on the back, but really, it's that's how it came about. Was John offered it. It wasn't much. There was like a couple of scenes, and I was like, what are you talking about? I'm in 100%. Thandiwe Newton. It was Jonah Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother, his wife, Lisa Joy, who created the show. And here's the experience part of it. I walked on set, and Jonah Nolan came straight over, welcomed me. I mean, I'm there for like a day, and he comes over and welcomes me. Thank you so much for doing this. We're so glad you're here. Lisa Joy did the same. And a quick tangent. Interestingly, I had auditioned for the lead roles about a year previously, and I kind of got quite close, and then it was like,
they kind of got a little bit of a taste of what you're about in the
yeah. And this is the beautiful thing, and this is, again, to any actor out there, because this has happened to me quite a lot over the years. Things that I've done 10 years before, someone's gone, oh, I really like that audition. It wasn't right that time, but I really want you now, or whatever. So a year before, maybe a year and a half before I do all these auditions. And then when Jonah came up to me and said, I'm so glad you're here, he said, we've really been trying to find somewhere to fit you into the show. This is just really open human interaction where people are being honest and giving you a real lift. So, I mean, that made me feel 10 feet tall, to be honest. So that's sort of how it all came about. And then we stepped on set, and we sort of went about all the stuff, and then Thandiwe was just unbelievable. And, not only as a performer, but as a person, and, talk about the loveliest person in show business. I mean, beautiful.
Yeah, I think you're sort of mentioning a couple of professionalism from people, on the last one, Mortecai, to obviously Thandiwe Newton. It's like, at that level, when you're that professional, I think you cut a lot of the garbage. There is a saying, you want to work with the 1%ers rather than the other 99 who are kind of climbing on top of each other to get ahead. I was going to say a couple of quick questions. Just speaking of Christopher Nolan, Pythos 2020 writes, Batman 1989 or Christopher Nolan Batman?
Christopher Nolan.
Okay. I was thinking, after you've mentioned you've got a connection now with his family. You probably
how am I meant to? Yeah. My old buddy, Chris. Yeah.
These are great questions, guys. By the way, I know Andrew's got a great question. Have you heard of Mogies? This is going back about 2 weeks ago. We actually had a Mogul Live with one of the animators from The Simpsons, who's joined up with Mogul to make these limited edition 200. Johnny, do you know what the Mogies are?
Not really.
That's right. I was going to say,
but I saw that.
I was going to say, for anyone that's just wondering, again, mogulproductions.com, have a look. Again, this is your opportunity as well. Limited edition NFTs that Mogul does on a regular basis. We've done the Stan Lee Legacy Collection. We had a proof of concept which broke the record, 182,000 with Rob Pryor for an NFT, Wolf of Wall Street. And this is also like a segue with Mogul now going into sort of the metaverse and actually some really exciting things. So I'll put it to anyone in the audience if they want to add anything just quickly about the Mogies or Mogul, what we're doing as well, just because we've got one more question with Jonny before he's got to go. Jonny, this is my question too, just before we go. What's your advice? Those people, whether it be in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America, what's your best advice you've got from on set?
Across the board, you mean for actors or
for actors?
Just,
yeah.
For actors, I would work very hard on knowing who you are. What are the things you love doing as an actor? Be clear about where you want to go. Find your role models. Find the models of people who've come before you. Differentiate the people who you love or who you like, and the people who you are like. It's a difference there that I speak to actors a lot about. I love many actors, but I am not like them, and I probably shouldn't pursue jobs that they're doing. So yeah, knowing yourself, and really, the end, you kind of got to be ready, don't you? You kind of got to be ready to go all the time. What is the look? I don't know if Oprah coined this, but I'm going to quote Oprah. But it's what is it? Preparation. Preparation meets opportunity. That's where you want. That's luck.
Yeah,
that's your luck.
I always come back. We had you've got to be ready. I always come back to this story with one of the guys we mentioned about 2 years ago on Mogul Live, and he had a bit of an arc series on Burn Notice, and they shoot that in Miami, and he tells the story of like he gets the audition one day, and they're like, right, tomorrow you fly to Miami, and they're going to shoot once you get off the plane. And he's kind of like talking about how, because it's a TV show and it's very dialogue driven, he's got these pages and pages and pages. So not only has he got to learn, get ready to shoot the very next day, but it's almost like he said, once I got there, the producers had rewritten part of my first scene. So then I've got another 3 pages I've got to learn once I get off the plane. And I think when you talk about being ready, it's exactly like you said. You can't just get the role and then say, I'll get into shape, in 2 months' time, and I'll see you there.
Unless they go, here's a budget for it, get in the gym and do it. But
sure. Just really quickly, Samosa's come back. Does sci-fi require a different mindset for actors, or are all roles the same?
No, I think whether you're in sci-fi or whether you're in a comedy, whether you're playing a cop, whether you're playing a murderer, a love story, you have to find the truthful stakes of that situation and that character. In the end, the comedic character doesn't know that it's funny when they're in that situation. The comedic character is in a predicament, and they're trying to solve it. They might not be able to because they're comedic, because they're in the comedic paradigm. But it's all the same, I think.
Yeah, great question, Samos.
Yeah, that was good.
Jonny, if there's anything else, you can plug anything you like, any of your new projects coming up before you go, just before I wrap up, anything you wanted to, any shout outs?
Look, thank you. And Mogul, this is really great to have an opportunity to chat about this and this sort of forward thinking thing with NFTs. I have a half-hour comedy that is in the pipeline, and a feature film which I've chatted to you about, James, a lot, and I'm hoping to push those forward and get those up, because they're kind of exciting things. I'm moving into the also some directing and producing stuff, having written these shows. So look, that's not even a plug. That's what I'm doing, folks.
No, I was going to say, Jonny, the projects you're working on are very, very exciting. We'd love to get you back to hear how they're going. Again, anyone in the chat, we've had a great number of people here. Samos, my 13-year-old thespian, loved that answer. Pythos, great host and interview. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Pythos. Thanks very much, everyone. It's fantastic that you joined in today. Jonny, we will get you back. See Mortecai, anybody, or Westworld, or any of Jonny's films. And looking forward to having a chat again, Jonny. Thank you again.
Oh, James, I just cut off your thing, and I have to say this: Rising Wolf, which is a film that's out now. That's my plug, which I completely forgot. Has just been released in Japan. So that
and it's also called Ascendant. Is that correct?
It's called Ascendant in Australia, but overseas it's Rising Wolf.
Okay.
And interestingly, in Japan it's called Axel Fall. I'm not really sure how that works. But that's the wonderful world of this business.
Okay, so in Japan, Axel 4. If you can't find it there, Ascendant, and if you can't find it there, it's Rising Wolf.
Look, you'll find it. I'm pretty sure you'll find it. Online. You can buy it online or something.
Fantastic, awesome. All right, guys, that's it for Mogul Live this week. Look forward to next week. Jonny, always a pleasure. We'll get you back, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, James. Awesome to see you, mate.
See you guys.
See ya.